This video is sponsored by Biofusion. More info later in the video. You don't need a beefy gaming PC to play good games, so here are the best new games you can play on a PC without a graphics card. Here are the specs. It's insane how Sabotage Studios managed to capture the heart and soul of old-school JRPGs in Sea of Stars. It took the turn-based mechanics of the classics and added new combat flourishes that need timing and precision. The good news is, it works great on our potato PCs. Its recommended RAM is at 4GB, so on our 8GB machine, it runs at a stable 60 FPS. It didn't have any obvious hiccups, even when we were on full screen with pixel-perfect graphics turned on. It is worth noting though that we only played the demo to test this game out. The results might be a little different if you're playing the full game, but either way, the game looks really good. Blasphemous 2 is a joy to play on low-end PCs. It is brutal, and it encourages you to get good like a Souls-like game.
Fucking game!
But what makes this game even better isn't just because of that, it's the performance. The game runs at a constant 60 FPS, but oftentimes you encounter frame rate drops only when loading in a new room. It's not that noticeable, so you won't be facing any issues facing these twisted enemies. From epic boss fights to familiar Metroidvania mechanics, Blasphemous 2 offers hours and hours of content for your low-end PC. But like its first game, the difficulty is not gonna be a cakewalk. Now here's one that can tug at your heartstrings, but not your PC. Venbas Story is about an immigrant Indian family finding their new home in Canada. At first glance, it doesn't look like a performance-heavy game. It's pretty minimal with its vibrant 2D art style. And your RAM might just feel the cozy and casual vibe with the game's minimum requirement of 1GB. And during our runs, it stayed at a constant 60 FPS. I didn't even notice any stutters on max settings. So that means you'll have uninterrupted sessions with Venba and her delicious Indian cuisine. It is a pretty short game, with the cooking sessions and the light puzzles, so you could even finish it in under 2 hours. Now this is a VR game to play with your friends. Biofusion is a brand new virtual reality strategy game that demands more than just firepower. It needs your strategy too. Create your own stronghold and defend your fortress from invading mutant forces. Work together with up to 3 players and survive, or just have fun. It has 6 unique stages to enjoy with friends, and 2 playable classes so far, the DPS Soldier and the Builder Strategist. It's up to you if you want to focus on the mission, or just play around with its movement tools like the grappling hook or the hovercraft. With your latest update, you can now upgrade your character with the new DNA points. These powerful buffs will help you mix and match your preferred playstyle. For example, a DPS soldier may use weapon gas damage plus reload speed plus range. Biofusion has over 20 hours of gameplay for you to experience. More events are also coming, including their Halloween contest, which begins from October 15 to November 15. And you can win a cool lightsaber skin and $100 worth of Steam credits. For more details, click the link below.
When I think back to my childhood, everything becomes blurry.
Speaking of emotional stories, Dordonia also has its own tear-jerking narrative. But before we get to it, we'll have to talk about its unstable performance. The game only requires 5GB of RAM to be playable. But even with our 8GB RAM, the frame rates weren't as consistent as we'd hope. It ran at a sub 30 FPS, and it could dip between 22 to 23 frames per second. What we did was open the game in window mode at 1280 to 800 resolution. That boosted the performance by 15%, allowing us a stable enough 30 FPS. Dordonia allows us to revisit our childhood home and uncover old memories. The beautiful cutscenes at least run smoothly at 50 to 60 frames per second. It is obvious that the game could use more optimization, but if you want to play it on your low-end PC, this is a good enough solution. No need to worry about performance issues in a game about having your own sticker business. The whole time we were playing, it ran at a solid 60 FPS, even on max settings. However, we haven't tried making our own custom stickers, so adding your own designs might result in some wonky stutters. But either way, it is an absolute joy to play. It's one of those cute little cozy games that you can find on Steam. It offers a relaxing experience, especially when you pack and ship those sticker orders. It's pretty simple. You might notice that this game bears some resemblance to Mega Man. That's because 30XX takes inspiration from Capcom's action platformer, but adding roguelike into the mix. Performance-wise, it runs at above 30 FPS, but you can make it smoother by turning the graphics from very high to low. It may be in 2D, but it does have a lot of intricate actions and animations, and thankfully these all look great on our low-end PC. And since this is an action game, responsiveness is very important, so in this game it won't be a problem. But like any game that needs quick reflexes and thinking, we recommend a controller to always have the best experience. Even for a remaster, the point-and-click puzzler from Capcom has no issues on our potato PC. We've only tried a demo and the game runs absolutely fine at a steady 60 FPS. Playing as a ghost and tricking objects to work in our favor is a blast. If you're a fan of Ace Attorney, this is another one of the creator's games after we've had our spiky-haired lawyer. It still has an immersive central mystery, and its point-and-click mechanics aren't something you see in a video game every day. Now this one's pretty interesting. Chants of Sonar is a puzzle game where you decipher the ancient language of a strange civilization. It's satisfying to put 2 and 2 together to translate the ancient texts. But unfortunately, before we go out of our way to understand their language, the game needs to run smoothly. At 1080p resolution, the game runs at 25 FPS. While that's okay for a game that's less action and more translating and exploring, we can bump up the frame rate to above 30 by decreasing the resolution and playing on windowed mode. And after which, you'll still have some minor hiccups while exploring, but it will be a smoother experience. Overall, this is a very clever game that's worth checking out, especially if you want to scratch that Obra Dinn, Outer Wilds, or Golden Idol itch. For a more relaxed experience, the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood is a game to play on a night when you're feeling introspective. It's a game about a witch dealing with her own personal issues in an astral world. Making tarot cards and reflecting on life might be a very personal experience for others, or maybe me. The good news is that it runs really well on our machine. Even with its 8GB RAM requirement, we got a stable 60 FPS throughout the demo experience. Its pixel art style also guarantees that it's not a very demanding game to play.
Empires crumble, heroes fade.
We end this list with a bang. Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition is a 1995 classic brought to life by video game preservation, thanks to that. So it's safe to say that the game can run even on the most potatoes of PCs. Think Doom or Quake, but more on the global security than facing against alien or demonic threats. Don't expect a new game here. It is a completely retro experience with its shooting mechanics. And apart from that, its movement can be nauseating for others since it runs at a constant 60 FPS. The graphics don't even matter as long as you're enjoying this one.